The life story of Colonel Harlan Sanders, the man behind KFC *. Early life and humble beginnings *. Harlan David Sanders was born on September 9, 1890, in Henryville, Indiana, to Wilbur and Margaret Sanders. The Sanders family faced early struggles. When Harlan was just 5 years old, his father passed away, leaving his mother to care for him and his siblings. His mother worked long hours in the kitchen to provide for her children, which led to Harlan becoming skilled at cooking at a young age. However, life was not easy for the young Harlan. After his father's death, his mother was forced to work long hours, which left young Harlan responsible for his younger siblings. He dropped out of school at the age of 12 to help support his family. This early experience shaped his work ethic, determination, and a lifelong passion for cooking. As a teenager, Sanders held a variety of jobs, including working as a farmhand, a streetcar conductor, and a railroad fireman. He was always looking for ways to make a living, but his career path was anything but smooth. Over the next few years, he would encounter numerous setbacks, job losses, and rejections. But this didn't discourage him. Instead, it fueled his desire to succeed. The birth of the KFC recipe *. In the early 1930s, Sanders took over a small service station in Corbin, Kentucky, where he began cooking for travelers and locals who stopped by for gas. His cooking quickly gained a reputation for its deliciousness. He served a variety of comfort foods, including fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and biscuits. However, the fried chicken was the star of the show, and it wasn't long before his restaurant became known as the place for the best fried chicken in Kentucky. What made his fried chicken special was his secret recipe. Harlan Sanders spent years perfecting his blend of herbs and spices, which would eventually become the signature 11 herbs and spices used in KFC's fried chicken. According to Sanders, his recipe was unique and a closely guarded secret. This recipe would go on to become the foundation of the KFC empire. By the mid-1930s, Sanders had built a loyal customer base, and his restaurant was thriving. He had also earned the honorary title of Colonel from Kentucky Governor Ruby Laffoon in 1936 for his contributions to the state's culinary culture. Sanders wore this title with pride, and it would become a key part of his branding, both personally and for his business. The development of the franchise model *. Despite his success at the service station, Sanders faced several challenges that almost ended his career. In 1936, a new interstate highway was built that bypassed his restaurant, which significantly reduced the number of customers. As a result, Sanders was forced to sell his service station, and he went through financial difficulties. However, Harlan Sanders was determined to turn things around. In 1952, at the age of 62, Sanders decided to take his fried chicken recipe on the road. Rather than starting a new restaurant, he embarked on a journey to convince restaurant owners to buy his recipe and franchise his concept. He traveled across the United States, cooking his chicken for restaurant owners and offering them a piece of his secret recipe in exchange for a portion of the profits. This approach was not without its challenges. Sanders faced rejection after rejection, but his persistence paid off when he convinced Pete Harmon, a restaurant owner in Salt Lake City, Utah, to become his first franchisee. Harmon agreed to pay Sanders a royalty for each chicken sold, and the first KFC franchise was born. Over the next few years, Sanders continued to expand his franchise business. He traveled relentlessly, building a network of franchisees who shared his passion for his fried chicken recipe. By the late 1950s, there were more than 200 KFC locations across the United States. Challenges and setbacks *. Despite his growing success, Sanders faced additional challenges in his life. As the number of franchises grew, managing the quality of the food and the service became increasingly difficult. Sanders was known to be a perfectionist, and he was often frustrated when the quality of the food was not up to his high standards. He was known for his fiery temper and often had conflicts with franchisees. In 1964, at the age of 73, Sanders was forced to sell his company due to his inability to manage the rapidly expanding franchise. The business was sold to a group of investors, led by John Y. Brown, Jr., for $2 million, which was a substantial amount of money in the 1960s. Although he sold the company, Sanders retained control of the Kentucky Fried Chicken name and continued to act as the brand spokesperson. He also continued to have a close connection with the company, appearing in commercials and promotional material, further cementing his status as the face of KFC. The global expansion of KFC *. After the sale of the company, Sanders remained actively involved in the KFC brand, even traveling internationally to promote the company's growth. In the following years, KFC expanded beyond the United States, opening locations in Canada, the United Kingdom, and eventually, countries around the world. By the 1970s, KFC had become an international brand, and it grew to include thousands of locations worldwide. While Sanders was no longer involved in the day-to-day operations of the company, his legacy lived on. The brand continued to expand, and his image as the iconic Colonel remained central to the company's marketing strategy. The Colonel persona, with its trademark white suit and black string tie, became synonymous with KFC, and Sanders' face appeared on countless advertisements. Later life and legacy *. Harlan Sanders passed away on December 16, 1980, at the age of 90, after battling leukemia. He left behind a remarkable legacy that continues to influence the fast food industry today. Sanders' life story is one of perseverance, determination, and the relentless pursuit of his dream. He proved that age was no barrier to success, and he transformed KFC into one of the most recognizable brands in the world. Today, KFC is part of Yum! Brands, which also owns Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and Wing Street. With over 24,000 locations worldwide, KFC remains one of the largest fast food chains globally, continuing the legacy of its founder. The success of KFC can be attributed to Harlan Sanders' dedication to quality, his entrepreneurial spirit, and his willingness to take risks. Sanders was not only a business mogul, he was a self-made man who built an empire from humble beginnings. His story remains an inspiration for entrepreneurs everywhere, showing that with hard work, persistence, and belief in your vision, success is possible. Conclusion **. Harlan Sanders' life was not easy, and his journey to creating KFC was filled with obstacles, hardships, and personal struggles. Yet, through determination, passion for cooking, and a visionary approach to franchising, he built an empire that has fed millions of people around the world for decades. Today, Michael Jackson's King of Pop or Steve Jobs may be synonymous with innovation, but in the fast food world, Harlan Sanders will forever be known as the father of KFC, whose legacy continues to inspire. From his early days as a farm boy to becoming the iconic Colonel, Harlan Sanders' life story is a testament to the power of persistence and the importance of following your passion. And even though KFC has become a global brand, the soul of the company, the secret recipe, the Colonel's legacy, and the commitment to quality remains unchanged. A journey of struggles and failures **. As Harlan grew older, he realized that traditional schooling was not for him, and by the age of 12, he dropped out of school to support his family. Over the next few years, Harlan worked a variety of odd jobs. He worked as a farmhand, streetcar conductor, insurance salesman, and even a railroad fireman. Throughout his early adulthood, Sanders was in search of a steady job that would provide the financial security he longed for. However, he encountered setbacks at nearly every turn. His attempts at entrepreneurship failed multiple times, including a failed attempt at running a ferry boat business. In fact, Harlan's life between his teenage years and his mid-30s was marked by continuous career failures. He failed at multiple businesses, one of which was an insurance company that collapsed. Despite these hardships, Harlan maintained an optimistic view and refused to let failure define him. He was determined to succeed and believed that his best years were ahead of him. The birth of KFC, a new beginning **. In 1930, Harlan Sanders faced yet another crisis. At the time, he had settled in Corbin, Kentucky, and was running a small service station. Business was slow, and the new U.S. highway was rerouted, bypassing his station and cutting off his main customer base. Facing financial troubles, Sanders thought about giving up and finding another career. But he still had one thing to offer: his cooking. He began cooking meals for travelers and locals at the small service station, serving food such as fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and biscuits. It was the fried chicken, however, that would make Sanders famous. The recipe he developed was unlike anything people had tasted before. Using a unique combination of spices and seasonings, Harland Sanders created a fried chicken that was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. He also developed a cooking method that would set his chicken apart. He cooked the chicken in a pressure fryer, which made the process faster and kept the chicken juicy. Soon, word spread about his mouth-watering chicken, and Sanders' humble service station became a popular stop for travelers. However, he faced numerous challenges, particularly because of the unpredictable nature of business at the time. In 1936, Harland Sanders was granted the honorary title of Colonel by Kentucky Governor Ruby Laffoon in recognition of his contributions to Kentucky's culinary culture. From that moment on, Sanders would become widely known as Colonel Sanders, and this title would later become a cornerstone of his branding. The first KFC franchise, a breakthrough asterisk. In 1952, at the age of 62, Harland Sanders faced the reality that he could no longer manage his restaurant alone. The popularity of his chicken grew, and he decided it was time to expand his business. Sanders set out to franchise his fried chicken recipe. Instead of opening more restaurants himself, he chose to find restaurant owners who were interested in serving his fried chicken. To promote his chicken, Sanders hit the road, traveling across the country and convincing restaurant owners to buy into his franchise model. He offered his fried chicken recipe to them in exchange for a royalty payment for each chicken they sold. Sanders' persistence was met with rejection after rejection, but he didn't give up. Finally, in 1952, he found his first successful franchise partner, Pete Harmon, a restaurant owner in Salt Lake City, Utah. Harmon agreed to pay Sanders a royalty for every chicken served, and the first official KFC franchise was born. The franchise grew rapidly, and Sanders continued to expand his business, traveling across the country and setting up new franchise agreements. He also faced challenges in maintaining quality control, but Sanders was always adamant about the quality of his chicken, ensuring that each franchisee adhered to his high standards. The rise of KFC and its challenges asterisk. By the late 1950s, there were more than 200 KFC locations, and Sanders was reaping the rewards of his efforts. However, the expansion also created challenges. Sanders, known for his perfectionism and strict control over how his chicken was cooked and served, found it increasingly difficult to manage the growing business. He fought with franchisees about the quality of food, and as the business expanded, Sanders' personal involvement in each location became more difficult. In 1964, at the age of 73, Sanders faced financial strain. After a dispute with the franchisees and a series of financial problems, Sanders was forced to sell his company. The KFC business was sold to a group of investors led by John Y. Brown Jr. for $2 million. The sale was a bittersweet moment for Sanders. While he had created a widely successful brand, he no longer had control over the company he had worked so hard to build. However, even after the sale, Sanders remained closely associated with KFC. He continued to serve as the company's public face, appearing in advertisements and promoting the brand. His persona as the Colonel remained central to the company's marketing strategy, and he remained the heart and soul of the brand. Global expansion and the KFC legacy asterisk. Following the sale of the company, KFC continued to expand at a rapid pace. The chain quickly spread beyond the United States, reaching Canada and then other countries around the world. KFC's international expansion marked the beginning of a global brand that would become synonymous with fast food. Despite his departure from day-to-day operations, Sanders maintained an active role in promoting the brand, traveling internationally to help KFC grow. He was always happy to pose for photos, promote the brand, and keep the Colonel Sanders image alive in the minds of the public. The combination of his unforgettable persona and the secret recipe for his fried chicken helped KFC establish itself as one of the most recognizable fast food chains in the world. Death and lasting impact asterisk. Colonel Harlan Sanders passed away on December 16, 1980, at the age of 90 from leukemia. His death marked the end of an era for KFC, but his legacy lived on. The company continued to thrive, and KFC remained one of the largest fast food chains globally. Today, KFC operates over 24,000 restaurants in more than 145 countries. Colonel Sanders' impact on the food industry cannot be overstated. He revolutionized the concept of franchising, setting the standard for future restaurant chains. He also built a brand around quality, passion, and commitment to excellence. The recipe that he painstakingly developed became the cornerstone of KFC's success and is still kept a secret today, known only to a few people. Conclusion: the legacy of Colonel Sanders asterisk. Colonel Harlan Sanders' life is a testament to the power of perseverance and hard work. He overcame adversity, failures, and hardships to build a global empire. His determination, resilience, and commitment to excellence are the qualities that turned KFC from a small service station into one of the largest and most recognizable fast food chains in the world. Today, the image of Colonel Sanders, with his iconic white suit, black string tie, and goatee, continues to represent the essence of KFC. His legacy as a self-made entrepreneur, innovator, and culinary pioneer lives on through the success of KFC, that finger-licking good fried chicken that has become a global favorite. Colonel Sanders is not just a symbol of fried chicken, but of entrepreneurial spirit, showing that it's never too late to turn a passion into a worldwide success. The end. Did you enjoy this story? Like the video and comment. Subscribe channel. See you the next video. Have a nice day.